execute the task. Okay. Next, we decided to break up the major or large chunks of the text with diagrams and flowcharts so that they become self-explanatory. And further, we made sure that each page had a control document notification, okay, to identify it from the others. Part 3, with respect to writing of standard operating procedure, was ensuring success and accuracy of standard operating procedure. So that's where we looked into the steps like testing of the procedure, then getting the SOP reviewed by those who actually do or perform the procedure. Then we looked into having the standard operating procedures reviewed by the advisors, okay, who have contributed towards the building of the SOP and the quality assurance team. And then once it is being approved, and then you start implementing on your standard operating procedures. So these are the steps that we had looked into while writing of an SOP. Yes, and then the next topic that we started with, just an introduction, right, of the topic, that was a process map. So that's what we will be discussing today. Process map, purpose of process mapping, and flowcharts and process map. I think we had looked into this. And then we'll be looking into the further points like benefits of process mapping, types of process mapping symbols, and business process mapping steps. What are they? Right? So essentially, we discussed about, or we had started with process mapping. So that's where we identified first, what do we understand by a process map, right? That's where we came to know that a process map shows who and what is involved in a process, okay, and can it be used in any business or organization, and can it reveal areas where the process can be essentially improved, right? Then further, we looked into the different purposes of mapping the process. What could be the purpose? A list of purpose that we looked into that would help when we do the process mapping, right? So after the process mapping purpose, then we essentially looked into what could be the benefits of process mapping. Now, purpose of process mapping, it will allow you to visually communicate all the important details of the process rather than putting them or penning them down on a paper. So rather than writing extensive directions, it is always better to use a process map. And that's where we looked into where it could be utilized, right? The manner in which it could be utilized, and then we also discussed about a few benefits of process mapping, that it can save time and simplify the projects, okay, because they create, not only create, but they speed up the project design, they provide effective visual communication, it helps in problem solving and decision making, it helps in identifying the problems, not only solving but also identifying what could be the future problems that could be cropping in, and probably that's where we could be proactively, we can think about the possible solutions, okay, building up economically and quickly, then shows the processes broken down into steps. It gives the details of the connectivity or the sequencing of the steps in the given process, and it describes as such or shows the entire process from the beginning to the end. So process maps help you to understand the important characteristics of the processes. They allow you to produce helpful data to be used in problem solving, and they let you or rather we can say that they help the managers in strategically asking important questions that would help any of the functional departments to improve the processes that are being used by them. So after looking into the benefits of process mapping, now let us look into what are the different types of process mapping, right? So first type of process map, okay, which we are all aware of, is a basic flowchart. So now I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 types of process maps that we can use. So these different process maps, let us see when can we use the process map and how to choose the type of process map that is most suitable for your organization or for the goal that you are trying to achieve. So yes, so first one is basic flowchart. A basic flowchart is a simple map visualizing the steps of a process, including its inputs and outputs. So when can we use this basic flowchart? Now this flowchart could be utilized to plan new projects, to model and to, you can say, to document a process as such, to solve the problems if we are aware of any. Then it will help the teams to communicate ideas better. In case they want to communicate the ideas to the entire team, a process map could be prepared. And in order to analyze and manage workflow, a process basic flow chart could be utilized, right? Then second type is a high level process map. So how is it different than the first one? Now this is also called as a value chain map or a top down map. Now it essentially shows the core activities of a process. It doesn't go into much detail about the decision points or what you can say is rework loops or roles are involved from the different people, personnel attached. No, it doesn't go into a great details with respect to the processes as well as with respect to the people who are working on it. So when can we use a high level process map? Okay, it could be used to design and to just define a business process or processes as such. Then it can be used to identify the key steps and the key details of the process, not going into minor details as such. Okay, only the key details of the processes are being involved in the high level process map. Then how can you prepare or draw this process map? So that's where what you can do is list the most basic steps in the process. Okay, not more than 5 or 6 steps. Then organize them in an order and then list each of the subset under the main steps that we have identified for the processes. So that's where a high level process map could be created or developed. Then we further look into a detailed process map. So we had in a high level process map, we say that it identifies just the key details of the process, whereas in a detailed process map, a flowchart will show a drilling down of the entire version of the process. It means that all the details of the sub processes over here are also contained in this detailed process map. Now, when can we use this detailed process map? It can be used to give the details, all the details with respect to the inputs and the outputs that are related to a process step, and to document the decision points within a process, right? What could be the points where and that's where you can identify even the people who are supposed to take the necessary decision, or people or personnel from whom the necessary authorization is being required, okay, in order to carry out the work further. Again, how can you prepare a detailed process map? You can define the process boundaries. You can identify what triggers the process, identify the inputs, identify what immediately happens after each input is being introduced, Like what, keep on asking what happens next till you get the final output from the process. So that's a manner in which a detailed process map could be prepared, right? Then we look into a cross-functional flowchart. So as the name suggests, a flowchart that shows the relationship between process steps and the functional units, the manner in which the different functional units are attached to the process. Okay, that is the team or maybe department. Yes, Rucha, can you mute yourself? Okay. Rucha Vadke. Okay. So that's where the different teams or functions could be attached to the process steps who are responsible for them. Now that can be essentially shown or depicted in the swim lane diagrams. As we proceed further, we'll be looking into the same. So it can also be known or called as a deployment flowchart. Now, when can we use this cross-functional flowchart as such? Now, to identify, this could be utilized to identify the key roles responsible for the process and how they relate to each other, to highlight how process flows across the boundaries of your organization, and to identify the potential failures or delays or rework or excessive inspection anywhere required, if any, right? Again, how can you draw? That's where you can gather a competent and a relevant cross-functional team, okay, from the different departments of your organization who are involved or connected in some or the other way with the process for which you are preparing the flowchart. Then identify the stakeholders at various levels of the process. List the process stakeholders based on how close they are to the process customer, and starting with the process customer itself. Then add swim lanes to separate the columns between each stakeholder. As I said, we will be looking ahead into a swim lane diagram. How can we take care of this? A cross-functional flow chart, right? And yes, so that's where you can attach the different functional areas of the business to your process map as such, identifying the people. Then we come to SIPOC or SIPOC, right? Now, SIPOC, it what you mean by this abbreviation, it shows all the key elements that are related to a particular process. Say, like suppliers, then the inputs, the process, the output, and the customers. So any business organization you go, be it a manufacturing concern or be it a service organization, always there will be suppliers, there will be some inputs, some processing being done, output, and finally your customers, right? So when can we use this? Yes.
SIPOC is a Japanese technology.
Yes, you can. I am not aware of that Japanese technology. See, generally, these Japanese terms are used in connection with operations and yes, Kaizen and all this. Is it a Japanese technology?
Yes, Kaizen. I heard about the
Yes,
Kaizen.
yes, Kaizen. So continuous improvement going on continuously, right? That's what Kaizen is all about.
And I think the SIPOC is a part of the Kaizen, and in SIPOC, it has mentioned in fish diagram.
Fish diagram or swim lane. What did you say?
Fish diagram.
Fish diagram.
SIPOC represent always in a fish bone diagram.
Fishbone diagram. Okay, okay. So yes, we'll come to that now. Since we are into process mapping, yes, part of operations will always come into this. So we'll look into a fishbone diagram as well as we move ahead, right? Okay, so when can we come up with this type of a process map, that is a SIPOC or SIPOC, whatever you call it? So to identify the key elements of a process before doing a detailed map, so that's where you are going to list out all these, not all are stakeholders, but yes, some of them are stakeholders. So list them down before arriving at a detailed map. Then to define the scope of complex processes that are involved, and this can be used in the measurement phase of a Dmac technology. No, sorry, Dmac methodology. What is a Dmac? DMAIC. Dmac, it means you have to define, you have to measure, you have to analyze, improve, and control. Right? Again, I believe it's a part of the Kaizen cycle as such. Right? So that's where SIPOC is being used. Again, how can you create this type of a process map? Draw a table of 5 columns for suppliers, inputs, processes, outputs, and customers. Start with mapping the processes, okay, in 5 to 6 high level steps. Then identify the outputs, identify the customers, identify what would be the inputs that will be going into each of the process, and identify suppliers of these inputs, and then verify that the SIPOC diagram with a project head or other stakeholders. So that's where you create a process map with the help of SIPOC. And then value stream map. Now, this map, it visualizes the flow of material as well as the flow of information that is needed to bring your product to the customer. Now, when can we use the value stream map? It could be used to record, say, measurements of inputs and outputs of process steps. Then it to identify the waste within and between the processes. It could be used to document, to analyze, and further to improve the flow of information and material, to have an insight or into, you can say, the decision making process that is related to the processes, and finally to identify where to focus future projects or sub projects, right? So that's with different types of process mapping. Now we essentially look into a few process mapping symbols that could be utilized for preparing the process maps. Now, the key elements of a process mapping include the actions. Okay, what are the actions that we are actually taking in the process? The activity steps, where we are drawing or we are coming up with a step-by-step procedure. Then, what are the decision points in the decision points in the process? What are the different functional areas to which they relate to? The essentially inputs and the outputs. Then, what are the people involved? Okay, uh, in case there are measurements done, if any, with respect to the process and the time required to carry out the process, right? So that's where the basic symbols are used in a process map to describe the key process elements. Now there are different shapes that are being used in order to create the process map. Let us look into these shapes one by one. Yes. So there is an activity or process depicted by a rectangle, then a decision depicting a diamond depicting a decision. Okay, start and end, where we are having an oval shape, arrows to depict the direction or the flow or the connectivity between the different steps or operations as such. Then a document that represents a data or information that can be read by people. So in case there is some information that is required to be gone through, so that's where this symbol is being used. We further move on to, yes, these different shapes, predefined processes or subroutines, alternate process in case there is a delay, manual loop where actual workers or employees are required to stop the automated actions, and then preparation, okay, in
Uh,
order to take care of the adjustments that are required to be made to the processes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
uh, for preparing the process map, there is a one app. It's called Visuo. So in that Visuo, what you are showing that all symbols is available in that app, so we can easily draft or prepare a process map.
Okay, which one did you say?
Visuo.
VI.
Yeah, it's a Visuo.
Okay. VISUO, Visuo.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's where symbols are available, but then with the symbols, you should be knowing where to use which symbol. That is one thing. And then
Yes.
you should also be knowing the process that you are going to map. So then is there anything given over there in the app that where you have to name your process, you have to give the number of steps, or you have to give the number of people involved in taking care of it? Have you all used this
Yes,
anytime?
yes. Yes, yes, we are using this, but the main thing is that you have to entire knowledge of your process. So without process knowledge, you can't prepare a process map.
Yes, essentially. So when you are working on the process, you will be having the knowledge of the process as such. Okay, now is it only for manufacturing or even service oriented?
No, I think it's that software is available in Windows system operating system.
Okay, okay. So it can be utilized anywhere. That's what you are trying to say.
Yes, yes, yes. Manufacturing, service industry, anyone can use this process map, because in short, we can give a demonstration to ask people that.
Okay, can you all mute yourself, others who are creating disturbance, please? Okay. So that's where today we will be looking into preparation of process map. Okay, so let us go through this, or you all can even go through, you can download this app if you want to. Okay, and uh, you can have the entire list of symbols as such. Now, why I am showing you this symbols is because essentially you will be coming up with a process map, okay, with whatever we have looked into today. So be it the different types of process map, okay, when do we prepare, when we can use which one, what are the symbols to be used, what do you understand by the process map, the benefits, the checkpoints, people involved, cross functional, everything that we have looked into. So you will be essentially coming up with a process map today. That's the, what you can say, interesting part about this subject. Okay.
I am having problem in understanding.
Yes. Yes.
Problem in understanding.
What problem in understanding?
To identify the problem.
To identify the problem, step one. So that's what you have done already. You are trying to say, okay. So are you trying to say you are not able to follow what we are discussing right now? Yes, is that so? Please come up. So that's where we will be essentially working on one of the examples today itself. Don't worry. So things will get clarified over there. Okay. So let us look into these business process mapping steps. So in business, a process is a group of interrelated tasks that happen as a result of an event. or a happening as such, you can say. Now these tasks, they produce a desired result for the customer, be it a manufacturing concern or a service oriented industry. So process mapping can be used in many areas of business. It could be business process improvement, business process redesign, re-engineering. It could be training, quality improvement, information technology, work measurement, documentation, process analysis, operational process design or process integration, mergers, acquisitions, selling business operations, and so on. You name it, and you can have a business process map created for the same. Right? So business process mapping can also be helpful for complying with manufacturing and service industry regulations, such as the most common one is the ISO 9000 or 9001. So then how do we create this process map? Now you said that we are nowadays ready-made apps are being available. Yes, but in spite of the apps, we are having certain basic steps that even the app must be following, right? So process mapping has become streamlined because of the software that you says that provides a better understanding of the processes. Process maps can be created again in, as you said, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. But there are other programs, more customized one that are nowadays available to create this process map, as you rightly said. So process mapping is about communicating your process to others so that you can achieve your management objectives. Knowing how to map a process will help you build stronger communication and understanding in your organizations. So that's where let us look into the basic steps. First is identify the problem. So that's where you need to know what is the process that needs to be visualized. Right? It need not be a problem as such always. What is it that you, for which you are going to prepare a process map? Then put down the title of this on the top of the document of whatever problem or whatever process for which you will be preparing a process map. Second is brainstorm the activities that are involved. Activities involved in what? Activities involved in solving that particular problem or the manner in which you are going to carry out a particular task. Now at this point, sequencing the steps isn't important, but it may help you to remember at the steps needed for your process. Right? So brainstorm the activities. If you are able to sequence it out, well and good. But if not, still brainstorm and come up with the entire list of activities that you need to do in order to tackle whatever you have identified. Then further you will decide what is the level of details that you would like to include in your process map. Then determine who does what and when it is done, the timing of doing it. Then figure out the boundaries, step number 3. What do we mean by boundaries? When or where does the process start, or when or where does the process stop? So that will give you the entire boundaries within which you will be identifying the steps. Then determine the sequence. Okay, it's helpful to have a verb begin the description. So whenever you are putting down the steps, utilize the action word with which you can start. Then you can show either the general flow or a detailed action or a decision flow with respect to the process that you are preparing. Step number 5, draw basic flowchart symbols. So each element in the process map will be represented by a specific flowchart symbols that we have looked into right now. Yes, so say for example, ovals could be showing the beginning or the ending of the processes. The rectangles would be showing an operational activity. Arrows would be showing the direction in which the activity is going. Diamonds should be utilized to show the decision points, or a parallelogram could be used to identify the inputs or the outputs, whatever are required by inputs required and the output given by the process that you are for which you are mapping, right? And finalize the process flowchart then. So that's where we have looked into different types of flowchart. So then finalize which flowchart would you like to adapt to, right? Once you are done with that, before finalizing, you see to it that your flowchart is reviewed with other stakeholders. Make sure that you have included important chart information, okay, like the title, the date, which will make it easier for referencing purpose. And what are the questions finally that you can ask? Will the team members follow the chartered process? Is there anything redundant? Are any of the steps missing? Is everyone in agreement with the process map that is being prepared, the entire team that has brainstormed? Okay, or does anybody has come up with some of the loopholes that needs to be taken care of? So these are the questions that you will be asking yourself before you finalize, or whenever you are looking at for the purpose of finalization of process flowchart. These process maps will provide valuable insights into how a businesses or an organization can improve the processes, right?
Excuse me,
So
ma'am.
yes, yes,
This is Ajay Gaikwad. I want to say something.
yes,
Uh, we have an app for draw the process map, a flow chart, but doing or prepare this process map is a very critical job. So I want to tell the new guys or who is not doing a job, don't take it lightly, because we have to present this flow chart and process diagram in front of the ISO auditors, and in that time मला literally घाम सुटतो.
yes. So that's what I had mentioned, na, that it is utilized for quality inspection people essentially, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
now before coming to what you have said, the app and things like that, or before going into for any of the manufacturing processes as such, okay, so that's where we will be essentially preparing before coming to a business process as such, okay. I would like you all to work on a simple process. What is the process that you will be following for what you can say, let me come up with. So all of you all are done with your basic graduation, yes, and all of you all are probably done with your projects at graduation level, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody, majority of the students are done with projects, be it
Yes, ma'am.
summer internship project or a winter project or whatever what you call it. Different names are given to it depending upon the streams that you are coming from. I believe last year every graduation has a project that is being attached to it, right? So now that's what we will be doing is now we will be coming up with an example, okay, essentially, where I am going to divide you into different groups, right? And you will be creating a process map, okay, with respect to what are the steps that you will be following in order to make a particular event a success, right? Let us not look into any manufacturing process or a service oriented organization. That comes later when you will be joining business organization, as you rightly said, not to take it lightly. Now it appears to be very what you can say, um, primary level, that whatever we are discussing. So now you will probably understand the importance of it when you think from perspective of having an event, an intercollegiate event at your college level, right? So that's where say let us, and that's where you are going to prepare a process map for the same. Is that okay? Now you will say इसमें क्या processing हो रहा है? But yes, a lot of processing goes into this too. So that's where I'm going to put you in groups. Okay, take a pic of all these steps that that I have put on the slide. Okay, I'll be dividing you into groups, and that's where you will be coming up with a process map for the same. Is that okay? Or at least what I can expect you to do is, if not knowing all the symbols and how to draw a process map, it will take time surely for you to do that. But then identify the activities, identify the areas, okay, and identify the sequence of the activities that is required to be carried out, so on and so forth. So everybody has gone to college, done with a basic graduation, or even if you think from a perspective of a school, and if you are having an intercollegiate competition, then what are the different tasks? Okay, instead of process, let us look into different activities or tasks that are involved in carrying out the same. Right, so that's where let us think of having an intercollegiate level project competition. Okay, where you are going to invite and this is going to be and do you want it offline or online? You all tell me now. Offline, because everybody has probably gone through such type of events in an offline mode. Yes, so that's where probably you are a part of some of the team taking care of some or the other task, right? So that's where I'll be dividing you. Just a moment. Yes, anybody aware of
what, ma'am?
this link doesn't have the breakout room option?
Stop screen. Which link? Ma'am, what exactly you want?
No, I'm not able to listen to you.
Like what you want?
I want you all to be divided into different breakout rooms where you can discuss with each other. Form the group.
So is it like some kind of debate?
No, it's not a debate. It's not a debate. See, you are going to identify.
Ma'am, you can give the name for according to roll numbers, or we can make our group. You can tell 5 people or 10 people, how many people in one group.
But then how will
many.
you discuss with each other? That's what that brainstorming is, what I would like to carry out in this session itself. Okay,
Right.
generally Zoom meetings, they have a breakout room option where, you know, let me check out.
It means just like a GD.
No. Where, you know, you all get automatically separated out into different rooms, like you are able to discuss with each other. So if I define the breakout rooms at a level of what you say, at a level of 5 or 6 students, so that's where you get divided amongst in groups, and that's where you can discuss with each other. That's how it takes place. Just a minute. I don't know how come it's not there over here.
Ma'am, there are too many students who never join Zoom meetings.
That's okay. See, don't get bogged down with what if I come up with a team where people are not contributing. No, you have to be focused. Whatever you can do, you do, and you leave the rest. You do your best and you leave the rest. That's what I always say. Yes, just a moment. No, I'm sorry. I don't think so. There is anything of this sort available over here.
Ma'am, what you're trying to see, like,
Mm,
Ma'am, what's like people will get separated and they can discuss themselves. And this feature, I don't think Zoom have.
Yeah,
no,
no, we have.
Zoom.
ac-
Yes,
actually,
Yes.
Zoom, I don't think
Zoom.
Zoom have this feature. The
Guys,
other Meet, I guess. Meet have this feature. Like,
No, Zoom has this feature. I take sessions on Zoom where I constant level, I keep on, dividing the students for doing their group assignments and things like that. I'm not able to identify which option it comes into. It's not there in security for sure. Okay, anybody who is responsible for this, the technical assistant over here from the college,
Mohit
can,
sir can help you, ma'am.
who is that?
Mohit, yeah, this is our IT team, IT guy, Mohit. So
Okay.
he will help you. And we have this option in Zoom, so you can divide 5 groups. In each group, 10 people can join
Yes,
separately.
yes. So that's
And
where, that's what they are called as breakout rooms.
yes, we have this option in a Zoom. Please contact to Mohit. He will explain you. And in our tomorrow session, we can do this activity.
Okay. So are you ready to with the topic that I have come up with?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes. So
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is conducting an intercollegiate level competition. Okay. Whatever you will be doing, you will be doing it in the class itself. Okay. And where each one of you, let us see to what level of active, like what are the different activities, are you able to identify first all the activities? That is the first thing. Then to what greater details you are going into with each of the activity, the manner in which, okay, if you all want, you just take down the steps. Now this is what I thought of just right now. It clicked, so even I don't have the points noted down. So first, what did I tell you? The different activities that will be involved. Okay, different activities. Secondly, if you want, yes, different functional departments that will be involved. Okay, with respect to your activity. Then you think about the details, how much to include. That is totally your decision, your group decision. Further, you are going to sequence down all the steps. So sequencing of steps. Okay. Then next is you have to decide about the, what you say, the duration or the time limits as such. Duration or time limits. Then next is assignment of
Ma'am, please share your screen.
actually no, as I'm thinking, I'm just writing it down. I will tell you again.
Okay.
Assignment of students. Okay. Student in charge for different activities. Then checkpoints. Okay. As and how I have delivered the session, whatever clicks to my mind, that's what I'm coming. Even you all can contribute. Checkpoints. Then you can say checkpoints. Then what should be the outputs at different points of time or output for different dates, you can say. Then inputs that would be required, inputs inputs necessary for doing the task. Okay, what else can come into the picture? Then you can have, if you all want to, you can have an action plan as such. So that's it. That's what then yes. Then another part could be communication. Now communication is done with the action plan, no doubt about it, but you have to think across all these lines. So this is what I have thought of. Yes. So what is the title? Or identify the problem. That was the first step. So that's where you will be having an intercollegiate project competition. So the time duration that is given to you is 3 months. Okay, 3 months. Just imagine that you are in a college. You have been voluntarily asked by your faculty members to come together who are ready to volunteer for these competition, who would like to be a part of the team, the organizational team that will be managing the entire show. Right? So that's where you start, you give your names, you come together. So now that's where, take down the points. You are going to identify, come up with the different activities. Point number 1. Then point number 2, different functional departments to which the activities will be related to. You want me to put it down in the chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, or else if you had written somewhere, then you can share it, the image.
I've just written it in a short form.
Okay.
Okay. Anything you would like to add to this?
Yes, ma'am. After the brainstorming sessions, the
Hmm.
one volunteer from that group, he has to explain in a brief, in a short. So what is the outcome of their discussion?
Yes. So now this is what now we will be having, different groups will be having. Now these different groups will be working out on the different activities or whatever the topic is the same given to everyone. Let us see which is the best, what you can say, process map, who comes out with the best one. Now your process map, essentially we are not going to draw the map, but we are just going to identify the manner in which the things would be carried out. Okay, so then point number 2 is different functional departments. Now these functional departments are from the perspective of the college. Okay, then depth of the details you will decide how much to include. Point number 4, sequence or sequencing of steps. Now this competition is essentially going to be in an offline mode, right? Then sequencing of steps, duration with respect to the activity, point number 5. Point number 6, students in charge and allocation. Then decide what will be your checkpoints to ensure that everything is going as per the plan. Then what are the output that you expect at different levels in order that the competition is a success. At the same time, the inputs to be incorporated at right time so that we get the desired output. What will be the action plan as such? So after the brainstorming, that's where you will be coming with point number 10 is action plan. How do you take part of the entire communication process? So the communication process in itself is a small process with respect to the project that the activity of intercollegiate competition that you will be taking care of, right? So intercollegiate project competition, that's our identifying the problem or task that we have undertaken is yeah, okay. Would you like to make it at a state level? Which type of intercollegiate competition? Come on. State level, national level, or within the city?
Within the city.
Within the city. Okay. So intercollegiate project competition. Okay. To be held 3 months from now. That's where you are going to map out the processes in order to see to it that this event becomes a success. So yes, next time, as you said, yeah, I need to speak to Mohit, right? I'll get his contact number from sir. And then that's where we can tell him that you have to next time come up with a breakout room option. Fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So that's where we stop over here for today. And then we move on to the actual manufacturing and service operations. How are things taken care thereof? So initially, let us start with this example, right? So that you go into that thinking process as such. And as you, what was your name? Ajay or Ajit, right?
Ajay Gaikwad.
Ajay Gaikwad. So as you rightly said, it appears to be very simple, but it's the most complicated task. So that's where you will get to know when you start working on this. So no need to start anything right from beginning. It's actually in the session, the group, when if you all want, you all can just jot down the points for yourself, what can be a part of it. And no need to think of those people who leave or who are not contributing. Those who are existing in the class itself, we will be carrying out the activity. I will be coming up with my own points. Okay, that's where the different groups will be judged down. Is that okay? So yes, so let us meet next time for an interesting, not debate, but brainstorming as such on process mapping, right? Okay. Yes, thank you, class. If you all want prior, I'll share, but we are not coming up with a process map. We are essentially basically preparing the entire, what you can say, preparation for preparing the process map. All the points we will be ready with that, and then how to put it in symbols and the diagrams, that's what we are having ready-made maps or apps also available for us to do. So what is the preparation we need to do for that? That would be the input that we'll be giving to the map app as such. So that's what we'll be working on. Fine. Yes, so thank you, class. That's where we stop over here for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Yes.